be a little showtime, baby?
Allied to Claxton, points to the shooting three. Oh, he made it! Turtle to Claxton for three.
Alrighty, hi again. Welcome to another night of Georgia Bulldogs basketball. Georgia faces perhaps their toughest opponent yet. Georgia faces the North Florida Ospreys, who's coming off a win versus Georgia Tech and South Carolina. They could have been ranked. They received, I think, of quite a handful of AP polls or AP votes. These two teams played last year, and this is not the same team that Georgia played last year. Georgia beat Texas Southern 92-64 the last time out. As we said, Sunday, the player of the game was Elias Emery Jr. He had 17 points. And then just going down the list, Asa Newell with 14, Tyler Lawrence with 13, Blue Kane with 12, Dakota LaFew with 23. A very, very impressive showing for the Dogs. Sunday, now Georgia's going to have that again because Texas Southern, because North Florida is not a pushover by any means. North Florida, perhaps, when this game was scheduled, I don't think any Georgia fan thought that this game was going to be this big, but sure enough, on opening night, North Florida beat South Carolina, and then they played another game. I think it was Charleston Southern, and then they go on the road and beat Georgia Tech. So, Georgia made more threes Sunday than they did versus Tennessee Tech. That was the main thing that mattered to me, that we needed to hit more threes, and they did. Defense played amazing with 12 blocks. Georgia had 20 blocks all year last year, and now they had 12 in one game, so they almost have elapsed the season average they had last year. And then defense is absolutely just looking better for Georgia, and that's wonderful because that is actually needed, because the first game the defense, and against UCF too, the defense did not look all that well, but it looks good now. So, and Georgia, as I was saying, in the shot 5 for 18, 3 in the first half, and then 17 for 16. That's 35%. Georgia had 33 bench points. That just proves how much depth and how much talent is on this University of Georgia basketball team. They could shoot the ball if they could shoot the ball like that, and then have the bench points 33. That is going to be a very, very good thing for Georgia. And North Texas looks North Florida looks very, very good. They are coming off huge upset wins. And, they're 3-0. It's just one of those things where you don't want to sleep on a team like that. And they've proved in the past that teams like that can go on the road and beat big teams like Georgia. I mean, who forgets Stephen F. Austin over Duke a few years ago, Evansville over Kentucky, Florida Gulf Coast and their entire NCAA tournament run many years ago. That is what these little teams strive. And at some point, it's good to see, because you don't expect a Florida Gulf Coast to walk into SEC country and beat South Carolina and then beat Georgia Tech, but obviously that happened. Obviously, Georgia cannot let that happen. I don't think Georgia will. I think that this is going to be a game where it will be close for half the game, most of the game probably, and then Georgia will eventually pull away. This Georgia team is very talented. North Florida is talented too, but I just believe that this Georgia team is more talented. Everything. Georgia has the advantage in everything. So, game starts at... I just want to make sure I'm getting the time right. The game starts at... 7 o'clock, 6:35 pregame show with Sky Howard, Chuck Dowdle, Adam Gillespie, and Luke Ned Carney on the radio, 750, 95.5 WSB, and the entire Georgia Bulldogs Sports Network affiliates. As I'm 7 o'clock, and then ACC Plus, Jeff Dantzler and Mark Sonecker. As I mentioned, they played once last year. That was a fun game. Georgia is riding a 29. Here's from the website. Georgia is riding a 20-game non-conference winning streak at Stegeman Coliseum. The Bulldogs are perfect in home non-SEC games under Mike White. 8-0, 22-23, 10-0, and 23-24 to 2-0 and 24-25. Georgia won by 30. Georgia had 30 rebounds. They won by 28, but they actually almost had 30. But Georgia had 30 rebounds against Texas Southern. Once again, this is a part of the Peach State Classic. So Georgia could, I believe, yes, that would be correct. If Georgia wins today, they will go 2-0 in the Peach Belt Classic or Peach State Classic, and that would put Georgia as the champions of the MTE. That would be wonderful. You know, I know that they're not going to make a trophy or anything about it, but that's just very, very cool to go 2-0 versus two very tough opponents. And then, of course, you could the game against Georgia Tech is not part of the MTE, but it should have been. I'm not exactly sure why it's not, but Josh Harris averaged 16 points for the Ospreys, and then Lyle Murray 14, and then Jalen Smith 14 points. So I don't know enough about North Florida, so if Georgia can stop those guys, Georgia should be fine. And like I said, the player to look out for today is probably Dakota LeFew. He had 23 points last game. If he could do that again, Georgia is going to be in great, great hands. Hopefully Georgia could get the win. I believe the boys could get the win tonight. It's going to be a great game. So if you're deciding if you're going to go to Stegeman Coliseum or not, you absolutely should, because it's going to be a great game. So once again, Georgia and North Florida at 7:30. Hoop Dogs versus the Ospreys. Peach State Classic, the very last game, 2-0 versus 3-0. Bulldogs versus Osprey. Let's go. All right, this is what you love college basketball for. A very, very early season test for the Hoop Dogs, and hopefully they come out on top. So go Hoop Dogs.
Unbelievable. They beat Arkansas and go wire to wire to win the SEC tournament.